everybody, and welcome to another episode of Junk Food and You. This is the podcast where I just sort of talk about candy stuff in general, or something that's on my mind, maybe even junk food related. I thought for the next couple of weeks, I would look at what I look for when I review candies. And everything in Candy Critic is reviewed sort of four ways. There's a, maybe 3 to 4 paragraph, sometimes 5 paragraph description of sort of what I thought of the candy, what I felt, how I ate it, stuff like that. And then there's 3 scores, and it's taste, texture, and novelty. And I thought I would discuss one of the 3 parts there, and so I just thought I'd start off with taste. So what I look for in taste with candy, and with snacks, and anything I review on candycritic.org. And this is sort of like the guide to getting a high score, I guess, I'll say, or maybe the guide to not getting a low score. There are several things to look for in a taste. Recently, I've started to look for what am I being promised. So like if a package says that it's going to be a mango flavored gummy, does it taste like mango? Now this is the next thing I should probably talk. So that's, is it delivering what I want? I recently had some paprika chips and they didn't really taste like paprika. So that would kind of be disappointing to me. The other thing is like how powerful the flavor is. You can go too powerful, but you can also go not powerful enough. There's definitely a balance. What you make really strong and what you make weak also depends on the flavor that you're trying to do. Some flavors I love super strong, some flavors I don't. And so this is a little subjective, this part, but I find that certain flavors, like a good strong cherry flavor is nice. I'm trying to think of a good mellow flavor. A lot of salty things you can go with a slightly mellow flavor and it'll be okay. I guess I also look for, if it's a blend of different flavors, I want to make sure that the flavors are balanced. So if it's like a chocolate bar with a bunch of ingredients, like with pretzels and peanut butter and chocolate, and like, can I taste each one of those things in it? So, you again, that's a little bit of being promised. Like if you're promised all these flavors, even if it doesn't say it on the package, but even when you bite into it, if you sort of taste like you're eating a pretzel, will you get that? Will you get even a bit of salt, or do they use unsalted pretzels? Like that's a big difference for me. I prefer salted pretzels in most treats, even if it's a sweet treat. So flavor, again, it's the balance, the strength of the flavor, is it delivering the flavor that I'm told? But one thing that's a really complicated with Candy Critic, and maybe this might not be the same with all foods, but candy can kind of get away with this, is sort of the authenticity of the flavor. So will a treat get a higher point because it tastes more like what it says it tastes like? So I used the mango analogy before, like, does it have to taste like real mango? And the answer is no. There are a bunch of sort of fake flavors out there. Grape is sort of the most legendary right now. Grape doesn't taste like grape, but it's grape. It's kind of got that purpley flavor to it. Strawberry is the same way. Most strawberry things don't taste like real strawberries. And again, it's not like you would do better or worse. It's more like, does it have the vibe of that thing? And I accept the vibe being those fake flavors that I grew up with. So to that, again, there's a bit of a bias to that because I grew up with certain candies that had certain fake flavors that were labeled, so this was labeled a blue raspberry, which I've talked about that, doesn't really even exist, but does this taste like blue raspberry, this fictional flavor? And so if it does, most of the time I find fake flavors achieve their fake flavor, and in which case I then sort of look at, is it powerful enough? Is it strong enough? Things like that. And the other things I was mentioning before, and the balance within the flavor of the thing. So when it comes to flavors, it's funny because I like, the balance of flavor, like the strength and weak, if it's multiple flavors, do they balance each other out? Is it the flavor that I want, but it doesn't have to be the real flavor? I'll be honest, doing real flavor, sometimes you get a bit of a bonus because using a real flavor is actually quite difficult. Real fruit flavors don't have that punch that fake fruit flavors do. Not all the time, but sometimes. So, I mean, I think that's most of what I look for. It's like, and the other thing to think about with flavor is Sometimes you can get a good score for tasting bad or being something I don't like. A good example is Jelly Belly has some gross flavored jelly beans. I've never reviewed them, mostly because I think they're kind of a bit of a gimmick. I love Jelly Bellies, don't get me wrong, they have some amazing flavors, but the sort of gross flavors are sort of a gimmicky toy thing, and so I don't really feel like they're something that's appropriate to review on here, because nobody's going to go buy a bag of vomit flavored jelly beans to eat them, but you'd buy them as a joke. But if you had a vomit flavored jelly bean and it tasted a lot like vomit, so you said it was going to taste like vomit, it does taste like vomit, you might actually get a couple of points for that. It's also worth noting that there are a few flavors I just don't like. That can sometimes lower your score, but often in the paragraphs I will talk about why, I'll give a reason why I gave it. Fake banana flavor. I don't mind real bananas, but fake banana flavor, not a fan. I'm not a big fan of black licorice. Spicy stuff, that's sort of in a related thing as well, where like spicy and sour if you're extreme. I love super sour things, not a big fan of spicy things, that's a personal taste. But if your package, again, this is where delivering on what you promised becomes important, because your package has sort of this extreme or even says extreme on it, it better be really spicy or really sour. If it's kind of bland, you're actually losing more points because you're not delivering what you said you would. So, but yeah, so even flavors that I don't like, they might get a bit of a lower score, but that's subjective. So you can even look at it, like if you love black licorice, you can read my reviews and you can be like, well, he didn't like this very much. I love that thing that he doesn't like. So then you can almost like reverse my scores or add a few points to them and sort of get that idea. So, but yeah, so like there is a certain sort of vibe to what I'm going for. The other sort of part of flavor that's difficult, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I talked about fake flavors, is nostalgia. And unfortunately, you can't wipe nostalgia out of your brain. And so occasionally I will taste something that will remind me of my past. A good example for me is always cinnamon and Christmas. If you make a Christmas candy and you make it cinnamon flavored, you've got me. Like I've got a bit of emotion in that. Big League Chew also, I had some Big League Chew, it was a while back, but I ate that and it was good, but it was so nostalgic. The flavor was so much what I remembered it as a kid. So flavors can do that to you, and I try and recognize it. I try and point it out when I think I've seen it, but I can't walk away from it. So my flavors, the choices of flavors that I like, tend to be more North American or even specifically Canadian centric. Like I love, maple syrup I'm very picky about when it comes to flavor, because I've had access to high quality maple syrups my entire life. So if you give me sort of a fake butter flavored syrup, it's like, ugh. But if you give me like a nice pure, fresh maple syrup, oh, I'm in heaven. So it's, again, there's a bias to it. There is a cultural bias. There's a preference, everything like that. But I tend to try and point those out whenever I can. And I tend to sort of like, mention that whenever I can. So that's sort of what I look for in flavors. I don't think I really gave you a blueprint other than be somewhat bold with your flavors. Don't be weak. Don't be cheap with your flavors. There are certain flavors that are more expensive than others, and I can tell. I've had treats that have been better and worse, and I can tell just by eating them. Chocolate in particular. If you're gonna make a chocolate bar, there better taste like cocoa, or else what's the point? But yeah, don't be cheap and be creative. Even if it's something that maybe people won't like, you might still do okay with it. But and for those people out there that are about the authenticity, fake flavors, they don't necessarily taste correct, but it almost tastes like a cartoon version. So that's okay too. So that's kind of a vague thing that that's what I look for when I'm looking for taste when I review treats on candycritic.org. So make sure to check out the reviews and see what you think. See you later. Bye. Thanks for watching. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can go to candycritic.org to find links to everything from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. You can also read well over 1,000 candy reviews, with new ones coming all the time. Candycritic.org also has links to pick up my latest books, as well as some cool candy-themed merchandise.